Hello, guys. This is Jacosta Lester, and just as I thought, um, so I was running a little late to work, at one of my jobs. So I got suspended for 3 days. I'm not really so upset about it. One of my days, they switched over to a new pay system, and after switching over, they lost several of my clock-ins. So my paycheck got cut in half one week. Shortly thereafter, I got suspended, and then my second job, my other job, they started to contract our hours lately. So the hot workers would cut off early, and then they would have to leave the shift. And I was cleaning, by the way, and on other days I've kept cleaning, but this particular day, the past couple of days, the local supervisor wants to get off of work early. Okay. So with that said, I just want to talk to you briefly about the time card oppression. Now, I know that I talk about normal things, and sometimes I talk about them in a magnified way, some, but not quite. For me, it's like several things working in tandem. Like you start doing stupid stuff or performing differently than you ordinarily would at work, and this just happens to be the week that all of this stuff is coming down on you. So that two jobs basically take your income from you, but not completely at what was their fault. But it's one of those weird things where you start messing up at the wrong time for it to be like anything but your fault. So I want to talk about the time card oppression because regardless, there is a form of oppression that takes place that looks just like what I'm going through. And it's not always precipitated by the actions of the person that's clocking in. Um, Prior to the time card oppression, um, I can tell you what happened to my body. My body started to hurt. I started to be more sluggish in my grabbing boxes and putting it in a truck. And it wasn't my own body. It's one of those things where I don't know if y'all have felt these things bother your bodies, but I'm telling you, it feels like something getting in your arms and trying to make it feel like spaghetti when you usually feel fine. It's like something getting in your legs and you feel like, if I were to say you were uh, cutting a steak, it feels almost like your ankle tendons feel like, it's a horrible feeling, okay? I've dealt with these problems lately. Um, what else? Furthermore, time issues. Oh my gosh. Time issues. It's like the time between two jobs. It contracts so much, but the breaks are so short and the hours are so long, and so they have been that in the past. So, with that said, um, the time card oppression has many working components. Plus, there's, the whole night that I've been working and hearing spirits go, Babylon, Babylon, you Babylon. Just talking and talking. Then another person walks past, like, yeah, you Babylon. Look at another one, they talk, yeah, you da da da. It's just crazy. It's almost like being in the movie The Devil's Advocate, but knowing that there's a real component. Okay, mental health is not the same when you believe in it. Because when you believe in mental health or the mental health claims that they've made, then you gladly take your Prozac, you gladly take your medication, and you don't question it, and they up your dosages when the voices come back or something, right? But I personally don't, I don't subscribe to it because I'm like, hold on, wait. Basically, all of this stuff that was happening in tandem was like, okay, I discovered this particular thing in my house. I got born again. It was so many different things, but I learned after going through it that, hold on, wait, that's mental health system. There are people that are caught up in a trap of a whole nother type where they're not crazy, but they look crazy when they speak up about the crazy stuff that happens to them. And it's such a trap because of this. They've been pigeonholed into this niche or niche, I guess that's the proper word. They've been pigeonholed into this area of life where people perceive them as the nutcases. But then we're in a society that's shifting or that is I know that God does it, okay? God takes care of us. And God speaks up for the oppressed when we struggle to speak up for ourselves, okay? So that I've been dealing with the time card oppression, but really it's so many other things that were working that were precipitating this particular suspension that it made absolutely no sense. You go to the store, right? Right before, like, let's say you're getting off of work and someone picks you up from work, okay? And you get off of work and this person tells you, now you have a job where you get off at 5. You got basically a couple of minutes to kill before you go to your other job at 6. This person pulls over to a store and says that they're pulling over to the store to get your little brother some beer. And you're like, but I gotta get ready to go to work. I gotta get cleaned up. Not in those words, but it's been a couple of times I've been late and it hasn't been completely my fault. It hasn't been completely my fault, but it's been some other times where, I took a bath and, I was running a little late. I try to take a bath. I try to bathe before I go to my second job because I just, you know, throwing boxes in a truck all night and working all day. I don't want to go from one job to another smelling funny. I didn't smell funny, but I'm just like, I don't want to either. And I actually work with someone who I've smelled, and he smelled strongly like mildew. It's a horrible odor. So, with that said, um, I've dealt with what is the if the supervisor wants to go home early, that's your paycheck for the whole week. They just want to go home early, all of a sudden, and then people, were acting crazy. It's just I've gone through some weird circumstances. Okay, so I've gotten a little off track. I've gotten a little distracted, but the whole point of this video is to state that there is a such thing as a time card oppression, and it works this way. They basically contract your personal economy by ruling the time clock, by ruling the frequency and the duration, the frequency of when you clock in and out, and the duration of your workday, so that the result is a smaller paycheck at the end of the week, and you still have bills held constant, so that they give you less work, less money, and your bills basically remain the same. Also, I've seen technological failures. I lost a computer. They started to break my computer. And I say they because I understand that this particular, like the incidents, the frequency at which these things happen, it's unusual. It's just unusual to have these technological failures. And in some ways, it's spiritual. And I know it is, but not fully so much, where a person can completely just blame everything on the spiritual. But I'm a spiritual person. I'm a born again Christian. So basically, for me, those explanations are legitimate. But for another person who may have been, just chilling and trying to say, oh, this, how some people have a tendency to take it too far. Like someone else's experience maybe becomes their experience. It's like, no, you're not going through that also. But at the same time, I've dealt with a workplace oppression. And the whole point of this video is we got off of work today at 9, basically sometime between 9 and 10 o'clock a.m. Okay? And there was no pre-warning. I basically told my boss about, like, I'm a child of Most High God, and, they like to play with us. I hear her voice in my head. I've heard the voices of several of my coworkers. And yes, the way that they conduct themselves is like that. Like they mess with people in their heads. They walk past people, and it's not telepathy. It's a form of spirit. It's called a familiar spirit, or, either way, whatever way that they found to converse spiritually with people, outside of their will and outside of the others' knowledge. Okay, sometimes there are people that their spirits interact with you, and it's not always a familiar either. Sometimes some of us just hear in the spirit. We just hear what's going on nearby. That's of that way. So anyway, repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. I've watched myself think to do something, and I've watched the entire day shift around what I thought I was about to do. I kid you not. So have a blessed and marvelous day, and repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And I apologize for the unorganized nature of this video. But the point is to say they cut off early at work and they suspend you at jobs. I mean, it's like they work together as an evil cabal, and the whole point was to take money out of your pocket for whatever reason. It's usually a long range evil that they're plotting and planning for that you basically would you may discover upcoming. Okay? So have a blessed and marvelous day and repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Take care.